Well, and welcome to the Go Spurs Go Memes podcast number 29, live but recorded from the Go Spurs Go Memes Network studio. I'm your host, Ray, in studio today. Buddy, Frank, and Jack join me, and we also have some special guests in studio. The Boban enthusiast, Mr. Tom Petrini, came in from Boston, so he's here with us today. Tom, how are you?
I'm great. It's great to be here.
Thank you for coming, man. Appreciate it. And, of course, we have Mr. Paul Garcia from Project Spurs. Paul, how are you doing, my friend?
Doing really well tonight.
Awesome. All right, guys. So how are you guys doing? How's the week going? You've been busy. We've got lots of Spurs games. There's all sorts of things that have happened. Donald Trump's about to win the Republican nomination. That's kind of crazy going on there. NCAA, the tournament's about to begin. So what's new? What's going on?
For me, just busy. I mean, covering the games, and they had like three or four games this week, and then here comes another 4 games. So for me, it's just been constant work. I mean,
I can just imagine.
I kind of want All-Star break back. I mean.
Tom, how about you, man? You're in South Texas.
Yeah.
How's the trip been?
It's great. This is spring break for me. Wild and crazy. Figured I'd come down. Spent the weekend falling in love with Austin.
Yeah.
And came down here. Went to the game last night against the Bulls. Trying to get some tickets for tomorrow at OKC.
Nice.
So we'll see about that. But yeah, it's been great. Weather not cooperating too much.
I was gonna say the weather's kind of suck.
Welcome to Texas.
Yeah, exactly.
My two trips to Texas, it's like, it's a very dry heat, and it's just pouring rain.
You got lied to on that one, my friend.
It is what it is.
So last week we kind of did a little segment. It was our first time ever talking politics on Go Spurs Go Memes, and I kind of want to talk a little bit about that, just because we're kind of getting to the point where the Democrats are going to nominate Hillary, and the Republicans look like Donald Trump is going to be the man. I don't know how to react to that. I'm kind of really surprised by that. What do you guys think about that?
I mean, I was actually at the game yesterday having dinner before the game started, with some of the media members, and when we saw that Ben Carson endorsed him, I mean, this is a guy who's a PhD neurosurgeon. I mean, when you got people with that kind of degrees and that kind of education endorsing this guy, there's going to be some issues coming forward. Going forward.
That's the thing too. Is like I kind of feel like Ben Carson kind of went opposite going with Trump. I mean, I was just kind of surprised by that, and I thought Carson kind of trashed Trump too. Was I wrong about that? I don't know.
I think they've all trashed him.
Exactly. I mean, that's just basically, it's been like a circus, the whole thing there.
The thing with Ben Carson, though, is like I saw an Onion article about him that was like, Ben Carson shatters social stigma that all neurosciences are smart. And it's really tough. And I would be so entertained by the whole Trump thing if it wasn't to pick the next leader of the free world. But it's kind of terrifying.
It really is.
Very terrifying.
It just said, buddy, I know you're itching over there to kind of talk about this because we've been talking all week.
He's shaking.
No, is it any coincidence that like the search results of actually people moving to Canada from America have spiked 300% probably in the last 6 months? There's an actual statistic for this, and I'm like, wow, that's not any coincidence.
It's just crazy. It's just kind of like democracy doesn't exist anymore. You know what I mean? Like there's so much a war between the establishments right now, between the Republican establishment and the Democratic establishment. The establishments, they wanted Bush. He couldn't do anything. People didn't want Bush, so they turned to Rubio. Rubio's about to be out, and then I'm waiting for them to kind of start supporting Cruz, which I think is pretty crazy for Republican establishment to do. But I think that's going to end up happening because they're doing everything they can to try to stop Trump, but it's just not going to happen.
He keeps growing.
It's like,
it's ridiculous.
What else can he say that excites people?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's just absolutely insane.
Cruz is a strategist this morning. He was like, if you're in Florida, you should vote for Rubio, and if you're in Ohio, you should vote for Kasich so that Trump doesn't get those states. Like, it's crazy. It's absolutely bananas what is going on.
It's absolutely, it's just crazy. And the funny thing, too, is 538 is probably the best, political for polls and numbers and all that stuff. But I love that they're doing the NBA now. Have you guys noticed that? Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's all freaking fantastic. And I think right now they kind of have NBA champion. They have the Spurs at number 1, but they have the Spurs at a 34% chance of winning the title. Golden State's number 2, but they're listed at 39% chance to win the NBA title. And then everyone else is just, like 10% or less. But I love numbers, so I thought that was fantastic. What else is going on? Six Flags Fiesta Texas announced that they're doing an upgrade on one of the rides. They're doing a VR virtual reality on their Superman roller coaster. Yeah. Which I think is pretty cool, but I was kind of thinking about this. And so you're going to get on the roller coaster, and they're going to put a VR viewers like on your eyes or whatever. And I was thinking to myself, I was like, that's pretty freaking disgusting if you think about it. Like, think about being at Fiesta, Texas during a summer day.
Oh, yeah.
And everyone's just like sweating and covered in like sunblock. And they're just going to go. Yeah, exactly. And they're just going to go from person to person while you're on there. I'm just like, man, you're going to walk off that ride with like pimples and
That's
stuff.
gonna be.
What I'm thinking about is just the fact that you might as well just text while you're riding a roller coaster.
Well, yeah, and that's the other thing too. Is
That's a
like
good point.
you know those things are probably going to fly off. Because, I mean, you know, no offense, but you have like 14, 15-year-olds running those rides. Well, wait, no, I should say 16 years old. I think 14, 15 is illegal. But, you know, you have teenagers working those rides, and they're the ones that are going to be responsible for cleaning those lenses and for making sure that they're secure to your head. So you know that's not going to go as planned. Anyways, I think it's time for the news.
You would ask that right now. Wait, hang on. I've got to
what?
dust. Well,
Here
I
we
always
go.
have to dust off the typewriter. That's what it is. Oh, there it is. I found it.
Our timing is so off. Anyways, so let's see what's happening in the world of the NBA. So it is believed that Raptors All-Star DeMar DeRozan will actually join the Los Angeles Lakers in free agency. This is being rumored around by GMs and some coaches. Any thoughts on that?
I mean, I think it's definitely valid just because they're going to have the cap space with Kobe retiring. If he does retire, he doesn't get any wild ideas here.
No kidding, right?
Down the West.
Hate that.
You know, when he starts making shots, I'm like, oh, here he goes. He thinks he can, and then we have to go through this whole parade again.
Guys, last retirement tour was so good. I'm going to do it again.
I'm going to do it again. Retirement
mind.
Tour Part 2. Oh, that's
If
hilarious.
he's looking for the marquee type of spotlight, you know, LA's definitely going to be there. They're not going to have a star right now. They have a bunch of young players, but I think he's just done really good this year with Toronto. Just what he's grown with Kyle Lowry in that system. You know, they're actually going to challenge Cleveland. I don't think they're going to beat them, but I think they're definitely going to challenge them if they can stay healthy and get everybody back.
I agree with you.
I really think his player development would go down a little bit if he did go to the Lakers. Such a young team.
Let me ask you a question. So, do you think that DeRozan would want to leave because he doesn't like the dynamic in Toronto, or is it he wants the bigger spotlight within LA? Which one is it that you really play at?
More of like a personality, like he want the bigger spotlight if he did go there.
That's what I'm thinking.
You know, he's actually like a huge. You know, that's all they have is the Raptors. It's kind of like here in San Antonio, all we have
And
is
Drake.
Spurs
and Drake.
yeah.
Don't forget about Drake, Paul.
Forget about Drake.
Yeah, so I mean, it's more so like that limelight of being around the celebrities. All the everybody outside of Drake is there. You know,
Yeah, I'm really curious who, because I think the Lakers are going to go after everyone. Like, of course, they're going to enter the Kevin Durant sweepstakes, and I'll bring up Durant in a little bit. But you know, they're going to go after everybody. So I'm kind of curious to see where DeRozan kind of lands in there. Like, who's priority? I assume it's Durant, and then is DeRozan number 2 or what? You know, so it'd be interesting to see what happens this summer. Memphis Grizzly guard Mario Chalmers is out for the remainder of the season due to a ruptured Achilles tendon. Memphis also waived him to be able to add a player, and supposedly they're going to go after Ray McCallum, who just left the Spurs. Brooklyn Nets have ended their search for general managers as they have announced they are hiring of Trajan Langdon as assistant GM. I still feel that once it's time to head coach, they're going to go after Messina. I think that's going to be the big thing. What?
Jack's face was amazing when he saw. He's like, Trajan Langdon. Where the hell did that name come from?
the Spurs would find something like that.
Exactly.
Like, that guy is
Of all
like the
teams,
diamond in the
Spurs
rough.
found that guy.
Exactly.
And he would be the best assistant GM in history.
Of course, we got to welcome Mr. Kevin Martin to the Spurs, say goodbye to Mr. Rasul Butler, and of course, Matt Bonner lives to survive another day. And I think the really interesting thing, and if we have a chance today, we'll go over it, is I asked everyone on Go Spurs Go memes, I said, okay, guys, give your opinions. Who should go? Spurs are getting Kevin Martin. Does Matt Bonner go or does Rasul Butler go? And the amount of responses I got, one was big, but it was overwhelmingly 90% Bonner that they wanted gone. And so we'll kind of talk about that a little bit later. Let's see what else. Golden State Warriors All-Star guard Stephen Curry has become the first player in NBA history to make 300 three-pointers in a single season. That's crazy, 300.
He's on pace for 400. There are 20 games left in the season.
The second in the second place in the league right now is, ironically enough, his counterpart
Thompson,
right? And Thompson is less than half to what he already has already made, which is what the crazier number is than.
It's just absolutely crazy. It's kind of like if you think about, if you ever thought of like if you found a genie in a lamp and you said, I just want to be able to make every single shot that I throw up. That's Steph Curry right there. It's absolutely crazy.
Do we find that, okay, so we saw when they lost to the Lakers the other day,
Yep.
right? And that was a glorious day, right?
It was.
We were all Laker fans that day. So the one thing that came to my mind is, you ever heard the term that you live and die by the three?
Yes.
Do you really believe that they're really living and dying by the three? They shot
No.
like 2 for 18 in that game.
I don't think so. I think they just had a bad game all around. Paul, what do you think?
I think it's just their passing. That's what kind of sets them apart. Sorry, man.
No, you're fine. You're fine. I threw it to him. You're choking on the side, and I'm like, "Hey, Paul, what do you think?"
I think he's dead, Ray.
I think they kind of do live and die by the three, just in very general terms. It's just they live so much more because they have probably the best shooter that
Never lived.
They have the best shooter, and I think they're just really good at hitting open shots. Like I really think, and their team plays so well that they get those open shots and they just hit them. You know.
And the thing with Steph is he can create his own open shot, and all he needs is an inch of space.
Yeah, he doesn't even
And
need that much space at all.
Right.
Yeah.
With the quickest release in NBA history, pretty much.
Yeah, because it's like the only thing you can do is try to get a hand in his face,
Right.
and even if you get the hand in the face, it really doesn't matter.
No, but he comes off of a screen. Like, he'll come off of a Bogut screen, and, like, literally within, like, a half a second, he's already got the shot up. So it doesn't even matter if you happen to put the hand up in that point.
Right,
I mean,
it
you're
doesn't
having
matter.
to get around that screen one way or another. There's no way that you're getting a full, like this in his face. There's just no way.
That I think it was his 300th where he had Ilyasova switched onto him.
Yeah.
And he just dribbled behind the back like 4 or 5 times, sized him up, and then just eye hole from like 5 feet behind the line.
It's
It was stupid.
absolutely insane, but it is something to be able to see that in person, though. I do got to admit that it is really cool to see that in person. Let's see what else. The Kings have suspended center DeMarcus Cousins for one game, which is tonight against Orlando.
Everybody,
His cousin was yelling at head coach George Karl during a recent game.
Yeah.
So, Buddy and I were kind of talking about this earlier, so guys, feel free to chime in here. But we were saying, Cousins is pretty much done in Sacramento. Like, there is nothing positive for him there. There is nothing positive for that franchise in Sacramento. And I think he has one more year left on his rookie contract. So I kind of feel like Cousins is going to do whatever he can to get out of Sacramento. He's not going to want to extend his contract, even though Divac and Sacramento is probably going to do whatever they can to keep him. But, at what point does Sacramento say, okay, you know what, we're done too?
I don't know if ever, just because, like, who else is Rondo going to pass it to?
Well, I don't think Rondo's going to be there very long. I
No.
think he's going to bolt next year. I mean, the whole point of him going to Sacramento was to kind of build up his stock again and hopefully be able to sign for a bigger deal this coming summer. That was the whole point of Rondo going to Sacramento. What do you think, Paul?
I think it's so. I mean, I think the latest tirade was he actually got into it with Divac of all people. There was, obviously you saw the film of him yelling at Coach Karl and several players, and coaches had to get in the middle of them. But then I read somewhere that he got into it in the locker room with Divac. So once you're going after your GM like that, I think that the writing's on the wall.
Exactly.
And they've never made the playoffs with him. He's obviously their one-star player. It's hard to find a talent like that, but it's definitely not working out.
No.
Like you said, I think Rondo's definitely he's kind of built his resume for what he wants to do this summer. I think the Knicks are a team that's interested in him.
They're
There's a
completely
few-
interested into him. And I'm
there's
going to
few
get to that in a
teams,
sec.
so, yeah, I think that he's gone this summer for sure.
Yeah.
Apparently, he was yelling about Karl about not defending him to
To the refs. Yeah, that's exactly what it was. And I'm like,
Which is
what?
like almost impossible. You
That
complain
is
about every
such
call.
a diva move.
It really is,
And
yes.
he complains about every call that he practically gets. It's ridiculous.
Lakers. yeah, great fit.
Hey, you probably got a good point there, Tom.
Could you imagine with the Lakers? He'd be a total train
Oh
wreck with the
my
Lakers.
God.
And just like, what, just throw some strippers and some cocaine in
It
there
would
while
kind
we're
of
at
be
it.
like,
And just see what
I
happens.
think it would actually kind of be like Dwight Howard again. You know what I mean? Like,
Oh, yeah.
had the talent and then just they completely wasted him and kind of just ruined him there. I think the same thing would happen to Cousins. Let's see, Bucks guard O.J. Mayo will miss the rest of the season with a leg fracture, so he's out. This I thought was very interesting. So free agent point guard Nate Robinson will soon try out for the National Football League, and he is the 3-time slam dunk champion.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah. 39-year veteran NBA referee Joey Crawford has retired effective immediately due to a knee injury. He officiated over 2,560 games. Bye-bye, Crawford.
Okay, so are we going to expand on that one a little bit?
What do you want to talk? What?
Come on. Somebody saw this. Had to have seen this.
I think we kind of should.
Okay.
Just,
Go ahead.
Go for it.
Go ahead,
Well,
Tom.
see, initially I thought the injury was he, fractured his finger from teeing somebody up too hard. But, it's, good night, sweet prince. Like, we loved you, we hated you, but...
Yeah, I mean, he was that ref that you love to hate. I mean, he just was. And I think every fan base kind of felt that he treated their home team horribly. You know what I mean? Like, every call against your home team was a bad call. What do you think, Paul?
I mean, yeah, I think he obviously, the road teams obviously, whenever the Spurs were on the road, you'd obviously have a favorable matchup there. But for me, I'm not big on refs. I just don't get into that part of the game. I don't like it because I always look at the fouls and they're always very similar, in the total fouls.
Yeah.
So I'm just a person who doesn't get on the ref side of. They have a very tough job.
Yeah, the only reason I get on refs is because I make memes out of them. That's the only reason why.
Well, this is the other thing I was going to bring up to you guys. So the Jeff Garcia, I don't no relation, I'm guessing. He wrote to a couple days ago saying that apparently that he had admitted to the fact that he actually was the one who caused that whole dust up with Duncan back in the day.
Oh yeah, he did bring that up.
Yeah, he says here, he quotes, "I was very arrogant. I had to constantly be told, you need to do a little personality overhaul, Joe. The Duncan thing, yeah, that was my fault." I'm like, really, guy?
That's
you do that after you broke your knee? Appreciate that.
Like we know Joe.
We know Joe. Like, we knew that back then.
We knew already. Too funny. So Chris Bosh, God, I completely messed up. Chris Bosh announces that the blood clots have completely cleared, and he hopes to get back to basketball very soon. So that's a great thing for him. There were a lot of rumors saying that, like, if it's really that bad, he may have to retire. Mm-hmm. So it's really awesome to hear that he's going to be able to go back and play basketball. The Wizards have waived Gary Neal and have signed Marcus Thornton. The big news this week that I think nobody saw coming in was a big surprise was that Peter Holt has retired. Yep. Juliana Hahn Holt has now been named Spurs Sports and Entertainment Chairman and CEO. What were your guys' thoughts on that when that press release came out and saying that he had retired?
It was just, for me, it was just so random because I was writing a piece on Kevin Martin, and it was like at 7 o'clock because I usually get the team emails me whenever I get the pressers, and it was just like I kind of just looked at it and I just kept working. But then like after I saw everybody started like tweeting about it and talking, I was like, wait, what did it say exactly? And it said, he actually retired. I didn't actually open it up to read the full thing, and I was like kind of shocked. Like, why would you just on a random weeknight, So, obviously, he's done great things for the franchise, and obviously his wife, I think, will definitely keep it going where it was at right now.
Yeah, and that's the cool thing too is I think what you're hearing from everyone within the franchise is saying that they're very excited that nothing's going to change. Like it's just basically under a different name, but everything is pretty much going to stay the same. Buddy, what did you think about that?
I mean, that's okay. Everybody retires. They get tired. They think about doing other things with their family. I guess the only question that I had about the whole thing is like. So when you think about retiring, you guys think about your future, right? Let's just say you guys are married, you have kids, things like that, right? You're saying, okay, I'm retiring because I want to spend more time with this family, right? Because I need that time. But then he turns over the team to his wife, who's going to be gone as much as he was gone. So then you ask yourself, okay, then why did he turn it over to his wife of all people? Why not turn it over to one of the older kids, maybe to somebody else's successor, like a business partner per se? And that's the only part that I'm a little bit confused about at this point.
Well, here, I'll kind of explain that to you.
Go ahead.
So basically, one of the reasons why he retired is because his other ventures basically have him out of town a lot, and that conflicted a lot with everything that he had to do for the NBA and for the Spurs. So that was one of the big reasons. And what a lot of people don't realize is that a couple weeks ago, or maybe a couple months ago, Holt Cat actually made some moves within that company where Mr. Holt is still, of course, the head of Holt Cat, but he also promoted his daughter and his son to different high-level positions. So a lot of people are looking at that saying like, okay, maybe that was a sign that he already knew that he was going to step down from the Spurs. And it just kind of makes sense. I mean, his businesses do keep him busy. It is going to send him out of town a lot. But then, of course, running an NBA franchise, and it's not just the Spurs, but it's also, the Rampage, the new soccer team, everything. So, yeah, exactly. And so you can kind of understand, like, something's got to give. And so, we appreciate everything he's done for us. 5 titles,
Right.
You can't complain.
I'm not unhappy with it, let me tell you.
Hey, I'm just happy that somebody named Holt is still in charge of that franchise. You know what I mean? Like, that's the big thing for me.
We're going to give it over to
Ask the Yankees
D-Bots.
about that.
Yeah.
Ladies
I
and
don't know
gentlemen.
if it's so good.
Oh, God. If they had turned it over to, like, some, like, completely crazy person, I would have been like, oh, my God.
Well,
No, that was the thing with the Yankees. They turned it. Steinbrenner turned it over to his son, saying it's all going to be the same. It's all going to be good. And
then it turned into
what
crap.
have they done?
Well, and I think you can also talk about the Bus family
Yeah, the
as well.
Bus.
I was,
Yeah,
as
that's
soon as
true.
you said
Bus
Steinbrenner, I was like,
family,
Bus is
The
what I'm
Bus
thinking
kids
about
haven't
too.
done too well with where the Lakers are at right now.
But the thing is, Steinbrenner and Buss, those are big names that are recognized nationally. We don't really hear about Holt unless he does something like
It's true.
retire.
Yeah,
and
it's-
that's part of what has made him so great is that he's kind of let
He writes the
Pop
checks and let them
RC
do whatever they
do
want.
their thing.
And exactly, yeah. Okay, let's see what else. $15,000 fine for Boston's Marcus Smart for making an obscene gesture the other night with the game against the Knicks. And again, I would like to be that rich one day that I could flick somebody off and get a $15,000 fine and
care.
be fine with it. Yeah.
It's just like dollars to me.
Yeah, exactly. 15,000. Let me do it again. Make it 30.
I just throw the money in their face and then walk off.
Exactly. Exactly. Carmelo Anthony wants an active role in recruiting for the New York Knicks.
That's the most hilarious thing.
I know. So he's already pitching to Rajon Rondo, which Paul brought up earlier. But the funniest thing, I don't know if you guys saw it, but the New York Post had it was on the cover of the New York Post, and it had a picture of him with Rondo, and all it said was "Help me." And I was like,
gosh.
that's just money right there. It's brilliant.
I just want to say I love this segment because I feel like we're just sitting here laughing at every other franchise in the NBA.
That's kind of what.
That's usually what
and we do
happens.
this on a weekly basis, Tom.
But the worst part is we started this laughing at our president, real presidential.
Thank you,
candidate.
Paul.
Oh, yeah.
Very,
That's
very
the
good.
scary thing.
Sort of falls all in line with the same thing there. Presidential candidates. NBA team.
Okay,
That's
so
the scary thing.
yeah,
I know, right?
The NBA Player Association is considering filing grievances to the NBA on the Pistons over voided Montunas trade. I never say that right.
Montunas.
There you go. That guy too. Yeah. So
I can pronounce all the names, by the way.
I know you can. That's why. But I like to do it so that I can be like, yeah, whatever.
Whichever one you want. You tell me which one, and I'll tell it to you.
Well, I don't have a list in front of me. We'll do that. We'll do that.
We'll have a game.
We'll have a game like that. Okay, so Kevin Durant, mentioned him a little bit earlier. So already the rumors are out that it's a no to the Wizards. Going to Washington makes no sense for him. Duh.
That's like saying.
And he's already saying no to the Knicks. Which duh. Why would you want to go to New York? Makes sense. But he is rumored to leave Oklahoma City if they don't make the NBA Finals this year. So I think it's safe to say bye-bye Durant.
Yeah, because they're not making the finals.
They're not making the finals this year. Nope.
Outside of some freak accident happening to us or the Warriors, they're not making the finals.
I agree. What do you think, Paul?
Yeah, same here. I don't see them getting past either San Antonio or Golden State.
Even the Clippers, for that matter. I don't think they can get past
Yeah.
the Clippers once they're full strength.
Do the Knicks want to make him play center also? Like they want to
That's a great idea, right?
Is that why you said no? Did you give it?
Look, we're thinking we're going to bring
point.
back the post game, okay?
Have you heard of the triangle?
Oh, I was just gonna get out of my head, Tom. I was just about to say that.
We're going to make ours four-sided. Though,
Exactly.
but it's still going to be called the triangle. Though,
It's a triangle, but you're the fourth part.
It's just going to blow everybody's damn mind.
Illuminati. All right. Okay. So we kind of mentioned that there's some players from the Spurs that have left the franchise now, and one thing that we do here on Go Spurs Go memes is that we give them a goodbye gong. And so what we're going to do is we're going to say the name of the player that has left the Spurs, and we'll do a moment of silence with the gong. Okay. We ready?
Except with the vacuum in the background.
Except for the vacuum in the background. Hey, the studios need to be cleaned.
I know. What can I say?
Are you ready, buddy?
I'm ready when you're ready.
Okay,
I
here we go.
got a big gong for you, too.
All right, fantastic. All right, here we go. Ray McCallum. Razul Butler.
I feel so irreverent when we do this.
I do too.
Rest in peace.
There you go.
Peter Holt.
He's not dead.
He's
What
not
the hell?
dead.
Okay.
Play the
Fine.
gong.
Fine, hang on.
He's leaving the franchise. Not really, but still. Okay, so he's not a Spur anymore, but you're a Spur for life. So we're gonna do one for Gary Neal. And he's not a Spur. He got waived at the beginning of the year. He went to D-League. They picked him up with the Knicks, but we knew that wasn't going to go well. So we're going to do one again for Go Spurs Go meme favorite, Jimmer Fredette. Ready, buddy?
Yeah.
Ready? Jimmer Fredette.
I feel like I need to pour one out for him, actually.
You kind of have to feel bad for Jimmer. Anyways, that's the news. We'll be back in a bit. And we're back, and it's time to do Spurs discussion. Again, Tom, Paul, and Buddy, and Jack is here. So we're just going to kind of talk about what we're seeing this past week. So we had a couple of games. We had Indiana, Minnesota, and yesterday's game against Chicago. Guys, what do you want to start with? What are you seeing? What are you thinking right now with the Spurs?
Just for me, it's I wrote about this on our side of Project Spurs. Kawhi Leonard and LaMarcus Aldridge, these guys have just been scoring 20 each night. It's becoming a consistent product. Obviously, their three-point shoot is kind of suffering from it a little bit because like they're going so much more post-oriented and high-low passing and looking to get stuff in the middle or from the mid-range area. But I mean, that's like really it's just Golden State has Steph and Clay, OKC has KD and Russ, and that's pretty much it in the West. I mean, nobody has like those 2 20-point guys now. If you're gonna have these two guys doing that consistently in the playoffs, that's a scary duo. Plus, the number one defense. And all the options they have as weapons as role players as well behind them.
Yeah, and I think one of the strong things about that too is like I've always said that I've always felt the Spurs go the way of their guards. So if Parker and Green have bad games, usually the Spurs don't do well. But if you started noticing, they don't really have to have amazing games with Kawhi and Aldridge because, like you said, 2020, they're bringing it every night, and you just. Parker and Green can be out there. They got good defense. They make some good assists and everything, and the Spurs are going to win. And so it's really kind of changed what the Spurs started off at the beginning of the season to where they are now. Tom, what are you thinking? What are you seeing right now?
Well, going off of that, I think it was Matt Tynan that tweeted out that Kawhi and LaMarcus together are plus 22 per 100 possessions in the past couple games. That's ridiculous.
It is.
Like they've been playing fantastic together. If you follow me on Twitter, my two things are Boban and yelling at the Spurs for not getting the lid off the basket for the first half of the first quarter.
Right. And that's what happened with the Indiana game is that we started off slow. Danny and Tony didn't play well at all. And we could never get back from that first quarter because I want to say the Spurs actually won the second quarter, third quarter, and the fourth quarter, but we made such a hole in the first quarter we just never came back from that, I was kind of really disappointed with that because I don't think we should be doing that to a team like Indiana. Yes, they have Paul George. Yes, they do have some great components, but I think the Spurs are better, and we should have easily been able to go into that arena and beaten them handily. It's just kind of how I view it.
Yeah, and I think they've kind of been correcting that of late, but. Against a team like Golden State, that's not going to fly.
No, it's not. Not at all. No.
There aren't many teams that can put away the Spurs in the first quarter or the first couple minutes of the second half. But Golden State is that team.
Definitely. If the Spurs, on the 19th when we play Golden State again, if the Spurs start off slow, Golden State starts hot, it's over in the first quarter. That's just the way,
You can't come back on them.
You can't come back on them.
Especially if they start over like 50% from the field, it's really difficult for them to come back on them because they don't tend to drop in shooting percentage, and they always keep up the same intensity like when it comes on defense, stuff like that. So you sort of wonder like, well, damn, if they got to stay on top of it the whole game. And one thing I was going to ask you guys about, one thing I was noticing a little bit of is that do you notice that the starters are getting a little bit more consistent than even the bench is getting? It used to be that we talked about this a lot. We were saying that the second unit is the quote unquote juice unit that actually comes in there, gives the spark off, and then they actually get the starters really engaged going into the third and fourth quarter, right? But I've been noticing in the last 2-3 weeks probably that the starters have actually been the consistent ones, and the bench has been the one that actually has been consistent. We've seen the drop off in Simmons. I've seen a little bit of a drop off on Diaw. We got Ginobili back now, so that part of it was Ginobili too. But the thing is that I haven't seen really that spark that we had seen from them. Like we needed that spark from them to be able to get the starters in there later, and then they actually finished it off. But now the starters have come in there, like Leonard's come in there and just stomped them. The first quarter of the Chicago game, he was 5 for 5 in the beginning. He was at 11 points. He was killing whoever was covering him. And it seems like they're better engaged the whole game going through the whole thing as opposed to before they took them a long time. Does anybody notice this or just me?
Yeah, I was about to say that, I've noticed that as well. Actually, last night they lost their leads whenever the bench came in.
This is what it makes you thought about.
And as you said, the whole product, Manu not being there for the last month is a big part of it. But also, Boris Diaw, Pop's kind of ripped his minutes from him. He's he's giving it to Kyle Anderson. They're running more small ball at the 4.
Right.
And I'm thinking that's more so to have another weapon for Draymond Green and the Warriors, in case Boris doesn't work out.
Sure.
And then we saw Simmons. He's pretty much hit his rookie wall. They're going to now that Kevin Martin's here, they're going to bury
He's completely hit the wall. Yeah,
he's really bad. It's not he's bad. It's just like he doesn't have a consistent outside game at all. And so what ends up happening, he's been that one trick pony kind of thing, where he's driving to the basket, but he's just really just flailing everywhere to try to get a shot. And sometimes it comes in, and sometimes it doesn't.
And the defense has figured him out already.
Yes,
we're
exactly.
at February already, so they're already they're leaving him wide open.
Exactly. Exactly. Because that shot's just not falling for him, so they know they can leave him open, and
almost like Andre Robertson of the Thunder.
Same thing.
Yes.
Leave him open
in the corner.
Exactly.
And then almost like I think this goes to their 3-point shooting. They've been struggling there a little bit. it's almost like they're becoming so reliant now on LaMarcus and Kawhi creating for them on everything that even like the bench, who's the guy that's going to take the shots outside of Patty. Patty's like the only guy who hasn't really lost his confidence.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
David West has been pretty consistent, but those aren't two guys that you still need Manu in there. You need somebody
Agreed.
else, a slasher, which obviously Kevin Martin I think is going to help. And what's going to be tough for Kevin Martin to get it situated here, I think, is that they're playing these really good teams now. Now it's like the worst time. It almost looks like
the gauntlet begins tomorrow night, and I think it's Oklahoma City, the Clippers, the Blazers, and then Warriors. There you go. I was like, wait, what team am I forgetting?
So next week around this time, or whenever we get together next, we're either going to be very happy or we're going to be really drunk. One of the two.
Exactly.
It's going to be some sad.
Why not both?
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah. It is going to be a crazy couple of games that are coming up.
What do we see right now at this point as a successful week? Do we see 3-1 as a successful week, or does it have to be 4-0?
I don't think it has to be 4-0. I think it'll be a little disappointing if they drop one. But
I think so too. I think we need to win all four.
I honestly do feel that they need to win all four. And the only reason I say that is because we've lost to the Clippers already. We've lost to the Thunder already. We've lost to the Warriors already. The Blazers we've beaten, but I think the Blazers have kicked it up a notch, and they're not that same team that the Spurs played way back when. And so I really think that this week is a challenge for the Spurs. If we go 3-1, hey, that's pretty freaking good. But I really do feel the Spurs need to go 4-0 this week. Paul?
I actually think 3-1 is a good benchmark for them, just because of the caliber of teams. If some of these guys, even though there's no back-to-backs in this set, if some guys have to go 45 plus, or 40 plus, I don't think Pop's gonna, he might sit somebody versus Portland or. I think the OKC and Golden State, one of those two, I think they're going to have to drop. They're just going to have to live with it. That's a really tough week to get those.
It really
those two.
is.
I think the expectation is you should beat the Clippers. Blake's still not back. You played them pretty well here in San Antonio in December. And then the Blazers, obviously, they're playing a lot better, but you should still have their number. So I think you just kind of just want to see tomorrow night is what have they done to since game one of the opening season, what advantage do they have? Because I think that you really want to see what LaMarcus can do now against these guys, because you kind of know what Danny and Kawhi are going to do with the mismatch with the matchups with Russell and Kevin. And then also I really want Tim to play on next Saturday against the Warriors, because that's the part where I think that was really missing, just his pace and control. There's some games where the fourth quarter that they start losing it because they start playing too fast, and so Pop will put Tim back out there on purpose just to kind of calm it down, almost like that quarterback, almost like Peyton Manning. Just
right.
Throw those little short passes, kind of just get everything back on tempo, and that's what was missing from that Golden State game. So I need to see Tim out there against Golden State.
Yeah, and tomorrow night's game, I really want to see how the Spurs do against Oklahoma City, because I don't think this Oklahoma City team, I think they have a lot of issues right now. I don't know what's happened with them, but their chemistry has kind of fallen apart. They're making tons of mistakes. So it'll be really interesting to see what Oklahoma City team shows up tomorrow night. But either way, whether it's the good Oklahoma City team or this one that's just kind of seems lost right now, I think the Spurs here at home should be able to beat them. Even if it's a close game, the Spurs should be able to beat them. I'm also interested in the Blazers game because there is a chance that we could get them in the first round of the playoffs. And I thing that I would hate is for the Blazers to get any sort of confidence against the Spurs. And I know a lot of people are saying, like, the other worry too is Aldridge. You know, the psyche of going back to play Portland, the team that he was with, and going into a series against them. How is he going to react to that? And I just kind of feel, you know what? I think he's fine. I really don't think it's going to affect him that much. But, I mean, who knows? We'll see exactly what happens.
The thing that I'm going to be watching is, well, two things. One, going against arguably the four best point guards in the game in the stretch of about a week.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to be watching how Tony Parker and Patty Mills hold up, because they're going to be key in playoff series against these teams. They're going to need to defend well.
You know, and I think that's a good point that you bring up, right? So, and I know we talked about this yesterday. You put this on your thing all the time about. So we always make these like mid-level people look
it's
like
one more.
Each one more was the example yesterday, right? Now the reason I bring him up in particular is because the fact that yesterday, who was covering more most of the game? Does anybody know?
Tony
Parker.
Because
right.
I commented on it.
Because exactly.
Yep.
So my thing is that I'm sort of wondering if Papa's going to start running like a little bit of a experiment here. So do we notice that during this game, ironically enough as well, who was covering Rose? Kawhi Leonard. So my guess is that somehow or another we're going to have Leonard involved in covering these point guards that give people like Parker and Mills problems. We did see some of this experimentation in the last Warriors game when he was covering Curry, even though
And it didn't
I
work.
still think that that's a bad idea.
I agree
But
100%.
I still think he's going to probably go back to it either way. He'll cover Westbrook, I think, for a little bit. For a
Yes.
little bit, and when Durant's maybe shift him in and out.
Right.
But I've got a feeling that he's going to have him not let the point guards burn him, because all of those point guards in these teams that we're playing burn us consistently. And when we're leaving out Chris Paul out of this. Chris
Yes.
Paul just constantly murders us.
But it goes back to what we always say, and you guys can agree, disagree, is that usually, we have an amazing defender in Kawhi, and usually they're going to stick Kawhi on somebody, and whoever Kawhi is going to be on, that's who he's going to shut down for that entire game. And so you basically have to pick your poison. So like with the Warriors, Pop let Tony go one-on-one with Steph. That was a disaster right away. So then he put Kawhi on him, and that wasn't, Steph is a different type of player, and I don't think that Kawhi matches up well with him. But basically what it is, it becomes you just let Steph Curry take as many shots as he wants. He's going to get his 30. He's going to make all his baskets. But if you can shut down Green and Thompson, then you have a better shot at winning the game. And it goes like that, the same thing with the Thunder. You shut down Durant. You're going to let Westbrook go crazy, but you hope that you shut down everybody else because they can't win the games by themselves. Mm-hmm. Do you guys agree with that? What do you guys think?
I agree 100%. Especially with OKC.
Right.
They've got two of the best players in the world, and Dion Waiters. Like
The talent drop off goes quite down
was
the
pretty
tube.
good.
And Waiters may not even be there because of his brother dying.
Yeah,
He
it's
may
very
not even
true.
be
very
playing.
unfortunate.
Oh, but they got Randy Foye now, so that might. Okay, great, Randy Foye.
Randy Foye.
Randy
The
Foye's not a
legend.
great- the legend.
Well, remember what we just talked about, Etuan Moore? Think about Foy tomorrow night and just watch.
You watch. He's gonna have like 30 points, and I'm gonna kill myself.
The other thing that I'm going to be watching during this stretch is Aldridge because, he hasn't had many stinkers, but he sure knows how to pick them.
Yeah.
He was horrible against the Warriors.
It's-
Awful against the Warriors.
When he has a bad game, it's always the worst game to have a bad game.
It's very true, yeah.
We'll see.
You're freaking me out, man. I'm getting hyperventilating here just thinking about it.
Sorry,
But I think, like what Paul brought up about Duncan not being there, I actually think Duncan not being there kind of threw Aldridge off for the Golden State game.
It puts too much responsibility.
It really does, and I think it just kind of messed him. And then, after that game, he turned off social media. He wanted to focus more. He said, I'm plugged in now. And he really has changed, as a player, and he's gotten much better in the system, better with his shots, just everything. And I would even say he's even more aggressive now.
Yeah,
I mean, that
he's
monster,
dunking more now.
Exactly,
Did you notice
it's
that?
like
he wasn't dunking at the beginning of the season. Now he's like dunking.
Yeah, so I think there's a lot of positives there, and it will be good on the 19th when we play the Warriors that Duncan is there, Aldridge playing amazing, Kawhi playing amazing, and really, see where the Spurs end up. I mean,
we're going to see this. So we're pretty much all in agreement that more than likely we're going to see this historic home winning streak just disappear this week, aren't we?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
yeah.
That's a sad thing.
Well, I mean, I honestly think the Warriors are going to keep going with theirs at Oracle, so I think the Warriors were going to pass the Spurs anyways. You're just not going to beat the Warriors at Oracle. What was that? Was that? Oh, okay.
Booty call.
Booty call. You're not going to beat the Warriors at Oracle, but I do think the Spurs, if they have one of their bad games, they can be beat here at the AT&T Center. Just kind of how I feel about it.
The Lakers almost beat him here.
Yeah, well, exactly, exactly. Good point. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, the Warriors look invincible
Yes.
at Oracle, and the Spurs have won every game, and kind of just the whole season in general. Warriors look pretty much invincible, and the Spurs, the game is kind of in doubt until they win by 15.
Exactly, yeah. But even when they go up with 20, I do. I'm like, I don't trust that. I don't feel that either.
Exactly.
I don't. What do you think, Paul?
30 only got 5 seconds. No, it is not going to happen.
I actually trust the 50-point lead because I have a spreadsheet that I use every game, and they're
that's right. They're undefeated when they hit 15.
When
there
they
you go.
hit 15,
That's right.
they're like now 42-0.
See, buddy, if we paid attention to the numbers like Paul does instead of being emotionally driven,
That's what it is.
where you and I are ready to jump off the cliff, we would probably know better.
We have a big problem with this.
Yeah. Now, if you're talking a 10-point lead, they have lost the game with the 10-point lead.
See,
one thing I want to go back to with Kawhi.
Sure.
He's obviously a great defender, one-on-one. against ball-heavy players that carry, that use the ball, use a lot of screen and rolls and things like that, crossovers. The one thing I think that he actually is kind of a weakness for him is running through screens off players that play off the ball. So I think Curry does a lot of that.
Yeah.
JJ Redick last year in the playoffs, Pop would throw him on there. And
But those are smaller players, though, too. I mean, it's
exactly.
very difficult for somebody like him to do that.
And the Spurs don't actually have a good matchup for that outside of Patty Mills. Like,
Well, Green, I mean, look, Green should be doing those things. That's the thing. Green is excellent coming off of screens. But the thing is that he gets caught up, he was caught up in the Warriors game against Thompson. And he did a pretty good job on Thompson. But, I mean, they should use him to cover Curry, not Leonard. I would think that logically that makes sense.
That's what I think they should do. And I'm actually interested to see if they put Danny more so on Curry this coming game. And then I think I think against Paul and Lillard, you can definitely put Kawhi on them, and kind of like what they did with Rose last night, because they're very ball dominant. Call their screens and rolls. So that's the one thing is that with Kawhi, it's hard to see where he's going to play because of when it comes to guys that play off the ball like Curry and like Redick, like I talked.
And then who does Tony cover?
I mean, that's the thing of Tony. He kind of survives.
No,
they put him on the least, expansive offensive player, but they're still going to find him.
Like Roberson, we put him on Roberson.
But they're going to find him. Like that's the thing is good teams like the Warriors, they're going to find.
They
Tony.
Switch off and they try to exploit weaknesses.
And
they do that.
When Kevin Martin gets in there, they're going to find him too.
Oh yeah, that's true.
I'm just waiting for that to happen.
So let's kind of talk about the new additions, Miller and Martin. Okay, so I think Miller had a really good game against the Timberwolves, which was awesome for him against his former team.
I'm sure they love that.
Exactly, but he looked really good, and so there was a lot of positives there for him. And then we got a brief little view of Kevin Martin last night. He got 1 point, but he did what I think what everybody's expecting him to do is to be able to get to the basket and get fouled and to be able to get those shots. But I'm curious to see how he's going to fit into the offensive scheme for the Spurs. I think what we're all expecting is for him to get those open looks, kind of similar to what Danny and Patty gets.
Right.
But Paul, what do you think is going to be the bonus of having Kevin Martin on the Spurs?
I think it's definitely that he's got the shot type of that they can take those kind of off curl screens, off fast breaks. He just has so many threes in his game, and then of course you saw last night the ability to draw free throws. That's something that Patty and Danny don't do, and he's very comfortable doing that. If he gets caught and the defenders too close to him, he can just rip it real quick and get fouled. And Marco survived here the last 2 years with his defense. Obviously, Kevin, last night he actually played one guy really well, and then like the next two guys they got to the rim with ease. Like it was
And I remember that McDermott made him one.
It was funny because I don't know who did. I don't know if it was Jabari Young or somebody or Matt Tynan. I think it was to put. So you see that guy just get to the basket. Who was guarding him? Kevin Martin.
That's going to happen. But I just think he brings something. And the problem is that there's such a short amount of games. There's 17 games left, and like I said, I kind of look like Pop wanted to just build a lead on the Bulls so that he could get some of these new guys some playing time. Kevin Martin specifically, because he tried to throw him out there in the first quarter, and then he really couldn't bring him back once the Bulls were keeping it within 4 points majority of the night. And so that's what's going to be tough this entire death week, almost like where they're going to play. They're going to be like almost playoff type games, and in these games they're going to be close. So it's hard to give a guy minutes where you can't spare a loss. So I think after this week, and then once they it actually gets tougher still, but against Memphis, they have Memphis twice, I think, and a few other teams. Then I think you're going to see Kevin Martin get a good chunk of minutes to try to get some sort of a role. I also think when Danny has one of those games where he kind of loses somebody like at a layup in the first 2 minutes, pops in to pull him. That's Kevin Martin's job. And then Kyle, he's pretty much earned that spot now as that backup three. But the minute he messes up, it's Kevin Martin's now. Yeah,
it makes a lot of sense to me. What do you think, Tom?
Something I noticed in Miller's one of his first games was they put him in and immediately started playing through him, and I was like, interesting strategy playing through the new retiree.
I noticed that too because it was kind of like, welcome to San Antonio, boom.
Right. And, exactly. And he's like, no, you take it, and they just threw it right back at him. But that's building that experience in the system in games, especially when it's pretty much the Spurs preseason.
Yeah,
that's really valuable. And Paul had a great piece about Kevin Martin's versatility from 3-point range and all of the different shots. He kind of was talking about that. I think he adds a lot, and he adds something that this team didn't really have too much of that they're going to need to compete with Golden State in a playoff series, and that's consistent 3-point shooting.
I'm also curious to see, once the playoffs start, who are your inactives? That's what I'm curious to see is who's Pop going to have in suits on the sideline, and who are all going to be all the active ones. And I think a lot of people are thinking like Bonner's going to be one of the inactives, but who's the other one? Who's the other one that's going to be inactive? And is it going to be determined by the team that they're playing?
I think so. I hope it's not Boban. He's seen a really significant dip in minutes, and I'm very upset about that. I'll have to put in a call.
We're right on that one.
Well, we kind of talked about this on a couple of podcasts ago. Is we kind of felt when Boban was going out there, he kind of seemed lost. Like he just wasn't picking up the system. Something was off from when he had first started coming in, and was kind of, everyone was kind of getting swallowed by Boban mania, and everyone was just excited to see him out there. But then there were times where like people were just beating him and dunking on him, and like his defensive rotations just weren't working. And so I think that's why his minutes have kind of dropped.
I think it's similar to the Simmons problem. I mean, I think it's like he's like that pony that they figured out, and it's like, okay, well, we could just sort of pressure him with the ball a little bit, let him grab the ball, let him see if he can dribble it, and then let him mess that up a little bit, and then we know we can take him to the basket because he doesn't put his hands up at all. Like I don't even understand that one. That's the one I'm like completely like not figuring out. He'll have a little guy come at him and he doesn't put his hands up and he lets him sort of shoot a jump shot over him. I'm like, what is going on there? You can cover the basket with your face. What's wrong with you?
There are a couple of things where I legit scream at my TV. Like when he gets the board at the rim and then brings it down to like his knees.
Yes.
I'm like, what are you doing?
Just dunk the ball.
Right. Like when he puts up a little layup, like no. Just cram your elbow in the rim.
It's just like destroy it. Just
go insanity in the dunk contest while still standing.
Hang on it like Shaq and break the whole thing down.
Just bring it down to your knees. Just do it.
I just don't understand. Like some of the things he does is just so strange. Like he has the ability to dominate, like just can dominate, but he just like does certain little things that just doesn't. I never understand why exactly. Like that's one of them. He doesn't. He tends to dribble a little bit too much when he has the ball in his hands. It's just like, just shoot it over the guy. He's not going to touch you.
And he has a beautiful shot too.
Yeah, he has a great shot. That's what I'm
shot. But yeah, I don't understand. I don't know.
The defense.
I just want them to line him up in the corner and let him bang.
Dude, I've been waiting for that since that video came out of him hitting corner threes.
Yeah.
He just did it the other day. I walked in the arena and he's there. He had like 5 in a row with chipping and working with him.
I'm just like, come on.
Maybe that's the secret weapon.
That exactly for the Golden State series.
In a playoff series against like the Clippers, and DeAndre Jordan is like, shackled to the paint, and then you just put Boban in the corner and start raining threes.
Jordan won't even know what happened.
Oh my god. Spurs would win by 40.
A big moose looking face like
DeAndre Jordan, my least favorite player in the NBA.
I could agree with that.
Him in that dress in that commercial though makes it all worse.
Oh yeah. Can we talk about that commercial real quick?
Why not?
First of all, he's falling in heels. That's what's hilarious.
I hate most of the players in that commercial, but still kind of love it. Like I think it's hysterical. But B, if you're an active player that doesn't have a ring, is it okay to be joking about that in a commercial?
Yeah, I do think that
good
is
point.
a little weird.
Is that bad juju?
I hate that Kevin Garnett's in there talking about his ring, his one damn ring. Sure don't. He kisses it. You got one ring. It was like it'd be something if it was Kobe or Duncan in there with 5.
Yeah,
you got one.
Yeah,
Please.
And if you would have stayed in Minnesota, you wouldn't have one. What?
Nothing.
Nothing.
Oh,
Say
sorry.
it.
Anyways.
Thank you for blowing my load.
So,
You're welcome.
You're welcome, Frank. Anyways, that Spurs discussion. We'll be back in a bit. All right, and we're back. And right now, we got an awesome interview with Mr. Paul Garcia from Project Spurs. Paul, you've been hanging out with us this entire show. Love having you here. Thanks so much for coming. So now it's time to kind of talk about you, man. So tell us, Paul, how did this all start for you? Tell us about yourself, first of all.
I actually work in the field of education, so blogging is something that I do on the side. It's my side gig kind of thing is what I always tell people. I started back in 2011 just independently blogging on Tumblr, of all places. I'd watch games, and I didn't even know about the actual blogging community. That there was like places like Project Spurs, Pounding the Rock. Some of these sites back then, and I was Twitter had just come out like 2 years before that, and so I was kind of a little active on there. And I would put my stats on there, and then I just wanted to put them all into a post, like and write my feelings of what I was seeing on the floor. And so I started writing just on an independent Tumblr account, and I started a series where I'd call it Views from the Couch. Like I'm watching from my couch every Spurs game.
Nice.
Every 10 games I do a segment, and I'd put it, and then the founder of Project Spurs, Michael DeLeon, he actually started reading it and picking up on it, and then he basically just asked me like in January of 2011, hey man, do you want to come just start writing with us, get that experience? And I said sure. So I wrote with them for a few months, and then as the playoffs started approaching that year, April. They actually didn't have they had access to credentials, but they didn't have a writer living here in San Antonio at the time. So they told me, they got in touch with the Spurs, and they wanted me to get some experience doing games. So what I did was for about a month, I went to Austin before the playoffs started, and I did a few Toros games, Austin Toros games, the D-League. So I got the access, I just got the repetition of working with the players, writing game stories, and things like that. And so, so that first playoff series was the Memphis one where they lost, in 6 games when Manu broke his arm or he had the injury. So that was a really cool experience. And then from that point on, went to the lockout. But ever since then, I've been full season credentialed ever since, and it's been a great opportunity just because getting to go to all the games here in town. I've made a few trips to Dallas and Houston whenever they have games over there.
Awesome.
And then I've got to go to the All-Star game like in Houston when they had it a few years ago. I've gone to 2 summer leagues in Las Vegas. So it's just
awesome.
A lot of different opportunities have opened up. Even off camera stuff that's opened up. So it's definitely been a great experience working with these guys.
So cool. So you mentioned that you work in education. So what do you do?
I'm a teacher. I teach. Yeah. So that's what I do for my day job, and then from there I go to the arena most nights or watch the games. Yeah.
That's very cool. Okay. So you're saying you kind of started your own blog, and Michael DeLeon picked up on it and kind of brought you into Project Spurs and stuff like that. So right now, like, what specifically do you do for Project Spurs?
Right now, I've built it. I used to just be the recap guy early on, where I'll watch a game and just write a game story about it. Now I'm at the point where I got moved up to the lead writer position. So now I'm at the point where I'm kind of like controlling the content and editing people's pieces.
Awesome. What's
coming in, and then of course my take is this season my goal has been just to get an overall feel of what's going on. And so, like if it's an away game, I could wait a few days to write a piece, maybe like once or twice a week. If it's a home game, I do to try to write there. Since I'm at the arena, I'm using the access. So I do want to have a game story. So I kind of just take an observation, feel for it, or a very numbers-driven piece, or a game film. Those are my three approaches most times.
Cool. So let's talk a little about Twitter. That's how you and I kind of started talking, was on Twitter and stuff. So the experience on Twitter, you have so many people that you have the Spurs fans, you have people that think that they're in the know, and I'm sure you get all those questions and everything else. So what's the craziest thing that you've been told or got into a discussion about on Twitter?
It sort of crazy, like when my life was threatened, or because I've had a few of those.
Oh, good. Let's talk about that stuff. Go for it.
That was just a few weeks ago. I had some dude give me a death threat, and so I had to block him. And then he emails our account. He's like, "Hey, can you tell Paul to unblock me? I apologize for giving that death threat." And I'm like, he literally said death threat, and at first he was just like, he actually said it somewhere different. No, but it's definitely. It's definitely when they lose, the fans get really irritated about it, and they want to just like have their point. If you don't prove their point to them, they're not happy, and they're going to continue to just keep going to it. It kind of goes to a personal level. They might take it that far, so I have to actually block them. But again, this team's only had 10 losses this year, so I haven't had to deal with those people 10 times.
That's a funny way of looking at it, but you're 100% right.
Yeah, that's how it is. I mean, there's there's followers who will come out just on the nights that they lose, and like I don't see from them like they're in all the winning. It's just like and then the winning, it's really cool just because I do I'm a very stat person, so I like to dig up different numbers, and when I see it, people start taking it. I might write a piece, and so other writers will also use some of that information. And then the fans, they really they kind of keep it. They'll ask me because I do this thing with the double-digit leads and stuff this year, and people ask me, okay, what's their record now?
Yeah.
So the fans are obviously very, very enthusiastic. If I tweet player quotes from the locker room and stuff, they definitely get in there. But the controversial stuff does come whenever the team loses. They get very.
I can't believe you got a death threat. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's happened a few times.
Okay, so like I said, you have a really good presence on Twitter, and I think, in my opinion, what you're known for is your stats. Like, your stats are absolutely amazing, and they're very interesting. And so on a night of a Spurs game, I can just imagine that you're extremely busy. So kind of tell us what goes on for Paul Garcia when the Spurs are playing.
Actually watching the game?
Yeah, like when you're actually watching the game, I assume you're not just sitting there with popcorn and a beer watching that.
I don't.
So like what happens during a Spurs game for Paul Garcia?
I definitely, I'm trying not to lose the privilege of being there. So because that's a great opportunity. I'm not going to have this forever to actually see these players, 41 times a year plus the playoffs. So I definitely try to keep my eyes away from it while the game's going on. I try to any kind of timeout or any free throw shooting. I will try to tweet or dig up some numbers. But during the game, I just try to watch just any kind of. If the defense is doing this kind of zone, any kind of mismatch, this guy's coming off a different kind of screen. I'm writing that down. I always have a piece of paper and a pencil by my side. I always have on my computer, I have my spreadsheets open with different numbers and different websites that I use for any kind of data. And then, I will tweet if there's something specific that I see that needs to go out there. I will see it. Like if Kevin Martin needs to check in for the first time, that's a big deal for people that aren't at the game. So I will try to get that out there, or if they're gonna hit some sort of milestone, I try to get that. So it's very much watching, but then also being also active as much as possible when the ball's dead and it's not in play.
So what would you say is the most difficult thing about watching a Spurs game for you?
The most difficult, it's just managing that part of it of wanting to give some information to the Twitter audience, the people that are following me online, but then not wanting to take my eyes off the game because I might miss a play, I might miss something that I can use for a future piece or something that I want to dig up later at home and rewatch a certain type of action or a scheme or something that. Also, something that I watch a lot is the bench. It's really cool to see Pop and the players and their conversations. It's always funny to me. Like I just laugh on my own all the time because Kawhi literally doesn't talk to anybody on his team when they're up by 20. He's just sitting there and he just looks bored. He's just the boredest guy on the planet. And he could care less, And then on the nights when he's in a suit because he's hurt or something or he has to rest, he doesn't talk to the person next to him. It's just this weird thing where he just doesn't
weird
talk.
Dynamic that's just going on there in the bench.
It fits his personality, how he is, and so there's just all sorts of stuff that I watch, and I'm trying to observe someone. When you're kind of glued to Twitter, also it takes away your observation.
Oh, completely. Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. And so you kind of talked about all these cool opportunities that you've gotten to do with Project Spurs. What is the best experience that you've had? Like what's your favorite thing that you've done because of Project Spurs?
I think it definitely has to be the championship game, the 2014, being in the arena. Because obviously I grew up a Spurs fan very early on. The last two or 3 years, I've tried to in the media world, you want to try to take away your fan biases a little bit because other writers will use your stuff, and you really want that from other organizations. Right. But if you're just Spurs, then they're not. If you're not talking about other stuff outside of San Antonio, it really gets hard to. They just see you as a one, just keeping to that one side. So it was really cool because being in the arena, seeing the streamers come down, but writing from a media standpoint. So we can't cheer, we can't get emotional, we can't get into we can't show any kind of favorability toward any side. So you have to be neutral. But then going back to the locker room, it was really cool. Boris is in champagne. He's going crazy. He has his arm around me. It was just a cool experience. The guys are just it's everybody's getting drunk, and it's just a really cool experience.
It's surreal because
to be in there.
Yeah,
you see it on TV, and you're actually there. You're getting champagne all over your shirt and stuff because the guys are just pouring them everywhere. And then Manu, and he had the Argentina flag on him, and that's probably one of my favorite memories still is. Definitely being there for that last title. That's
just awesome. Just to be able, just hearing you and seeing your expressions about how excited you talk about it, I can just imagine what it was like being there. So is there anything that you haven't had an opportunity to do yet concerning the Spurs that you hope you'll get the opportunity to do?
As far as not necessarily, I'm trying. Maybe going on a super far trip, I'd have to plan for that. I guess no, I'm honestly more like with their international guys. Going to watch a FIBA game would be really cool.
Oh, that's cool.
An experience I definitely want to try if I could. I'd have to save up for that. And now most of their international players are getting older, but that'd definitely be an experience I would like to see.
That's awesome
in the future.
Yeah. Okay, so we kind of talked about all these pieces that you write, and you're kind of talking about other writers and other people will kind of use your stuff. Has there ever been a time where somebody shared your piece or asked you and said, "Hey, Paul, can I use this? I'll give you credit," or that you were like, "Damn, so and so wants to use my stuff." That got you really excited. Has that happened for you yet?
Not necessarily a specific media outlet, but just anytime I see that somebody's using my stuff, they'll either email me or they'll put it on Twitter, Paul Garcia, or they'll credit it, and that just makes me because it's almost like your peers. Your peers are not just they're reading your work, but they're also using it to make their own ideas as well, and they're taking that from your ideas. Because I'm not the guy out there doing the dunks, and so like a lot of sites get like the videos, the highlights, like Danny
Sure.
did last night. But if you can find something that Danny does like on the floor and like that hasn't been talked about from the readers or the basketball world, then I think that's something pretty cool. And then other people start expanding on that. That's kind of where I just like to almost like I want people to learn from what they're reading whenever they read the stuff that I write.
Cool. So, you're getting all this awesome experience. I mean, these experiences that you're getting and everything is just amazing talking to you about it. What's your goal? Like what do you want this to develop into? What's your end goal with all the hard work that you do and everything? What are you hoping?
One of my new avenues that I'm looking at is scouting, actually, like for an actual, I mean, I would actually like to scout for a team, get into that avenue of maybe working with the team one day. So I think that's definitely like every summer I kind of, since I'm off, I'm a teacher, I have a lot of time in the summertime, so I actually watch a lot of game film of teams, not just the Spurs, other teams also that run different kind of sets, and then I watch a lot of coaching clinics. I mean, everything's available on YouTube these days, like very, very extensive stuff. Like we're talking like 2-hour coaching clinics. I just sit there and watch and take notes and yeah, so that's something that I definitely want to look into, and that's where like when I write pieces with any kind of like plays and like play diagrams, that's something that I'm definitely aiming toward, going toward, if I could get if I ever got out of education.
Cool. So I know you're a Spurs fan. So if the opportunity ever came along that somebody wanted you as a scout, but it wasn't the Spurs, it was another team, or somebody wanted you to write for another team, would you take that opportunity?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, just because it's for me now at this point, it's more basketball. I just enjoy basketball. I'm trying to, I like when Ray Allen hit the shot in 2013. It was a bad shot, but for me it was a cool shot to watch, just because I actually like watching 3-point shooters take shots and just reading the backside of it, of how much he practices that repetition of that action, and I like to play pickup basketball in my own time, and so I always throw in little NBA drills whenever I go to the gym that I see these guys do before games, and it's just like you kind of appreciate the hard work that they put into it, and so my fan side has kind of been like, I guess like it's still there, but like it's kind of like regressed, just because at the games I can't get emotional, I can't really get into it. Whenever I tweet, I kind of have to keep it in favor of just keeping a neutral bias. So I think. I definitely, if there was an opportunity with another organization, I would take it if it opened up. That's
awesome. Okay, so just real quick, back to the social media thing, because I think social media is so huge. I mean, that's where Go Spurs Go memes is. That's where the Boban enthusiast is. I mean, there are so many Spurs sites, and there's so many ways for the fans to get information for. But social media does have all the positives, but it also has a lot of negatives. Is there anything that you just really dislike about being on social media?
I think what I was talking about earlier about when they lose, how fans just, they don't see another side of it outside of like life goes on.
Right.
you probably have a family, you have a job, like there's other stuff that's still happening. You're breathing. Like, there's more to life than just sports. Like and I think that's the part of it, is like me, I can kind of just step away. And they lost against the Pacers. Actually, I was sick that night, so me, I had like a cold, and I'm like just trying. I was like falling asleep through the game, so like I was just end. I don't care who wins. Like these guys they're gonna have 10 losses. Who cares? Like they're not gonna catch Golden State, but OKC's not gonna catch up. So in my mind, I can kind of keep it very neutral, but it's like the fans, they're kind of just they sometimes just keep going at it when the team loses, and they just want to get their point across. It's like it gets to the point where like I don't want to have to block you, but like if just because I'm ignoring you, I don't want you to have to start saying personal things about me.
Right? Yeah. That's
probably the only negative. And you don't know these people face to face because it's obviously online. So that's probably the only negative aspect, I would say.
Okay. All right, Paul. So what we're going to do now is what we do, a tradition here for everybody that we do an interview with. It's called Question Fury, and so the music's going to start, and I'm just going to ask you questions that just have like a one-word answer.
Okay.
Okay. You ready?
Yeah.
Do you know where this music is from, Paul? We're too old, buddy. All right, here we go. Question Fury, Paul Garcia, Project Spurs. Coke or Pepsi?
Pepsi.
DC or Marvel?
DC.
Whataburger or In-N-Out?
Whataburger.
H-E-B or Walmart?
H-E-B.
NSYNC or the Backstreet Boys?
Backstreet Boys.
Oh. Billy Joel or Bruce Springsteen?
Billy Joel.
Okay. Favorite wrestler?
Bret Hitman Hart.
Oh, that's a good one. Yes. Okay, and finally, this is a big one, Paul. What's your favorite breakfast taco?
Carne asada with cheese.
There you go. Are you from the South Side, Paul? Because that's a South Side taco right there.
West Side.
West Side, same thing. It's all the same thing.
Yeah.
Just a little classic.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, you're missing out if you never had it
You're
with
missing out.
cheese.
Yeah, like I know a lot of people that dig carne asada with cheese. Yeah. Too funny. All right, Paul. Thanks so much for spending some time with us today and doing an interview with us. As I said before, your stats are amazing. If you guys aren't following him on Twitter already, you need to. What's your Twitter handle, Paul?
At Paul Garcia PS.
Okay, that's what I thought it was. All right. So follow Paul. Check out all his stats, especially on game days. He gives a lot of insight, gives you a lot of great information. Thanks again, Paul. We'll be back in a bit.
Hi, this is DJ Quake, the official DJ for the San Antonio Spurs, and you're listening to Go Spurs Go Memes.
Return to the Mac. Get up what it is, what it does.
And that music means it's time to talk NCAA basketball. All right, so in a couple of days, we have the Big O tournament starting up. And as we've been mentioning repeatedly on the podcast and on all of our social media channels, the Go Spurs Go Memes Bracket Challenge is up, and you're able to sign up for it already. The links are on the webpage. It's on Instagram and on Twitter. We are using ESPN. It's free to sign up. We will have prizes, so go on, sign up. Starts on the 17th. The brackets, we'll know exactly who's playing who on the 13th, right, Jack?
Yep.
Yep.
Sunday
Okay.
at 5.
There we go. So be sure to join us in that, and we're just gonna have a good old time doing some brackets. So, Jack, what's going on in the world of the NCAA basketball?
The world of the NCAA basketball. Yeah, less than a week, we got the tournament. So if you totally don't know anything about the tournament, it's 68 teams. And 32 of those are automatic bids from all the conference championships. 13 of those have already been decided. The rest will be decided tomorrow, Saturday, and then a few on Sunday as well. And then there's 36 large bids. The 36 large bids are what everyone fights for. Probably, 30 of those or so are pretty much shoe-ins, which you hear the bubble watch or all that good stuff. So we'll talk about that a little bit, kind of who I like to make the tournament, who I don't like to make the tournament. Probably the one thing I wanted to talk about first, though, is RPI. You'll hear a lot of teams talk about RPI, but I didn't really know what it meant, so I, of course, looked it up. It was like that whole BCS ranking. But this is actually a little bit better. So RPI is actually the ratings percentage index. It's based on 3 different things. 25% of it is the percentage of the teams winning. Their winning percentage. 50% of it is their opponent's winning percentage. And then the other 25% is their opponent's winning percentage.
Oh, wow. That's way better than the BCS.
So it kind of gives you a good deal. It is kind of, it's not the only thing that the tournament committee looks at. And actually, I came across an interesting story. So I guess Jim Sunup does an RPI what if. And so he'll look at, bubble teams and kind of, if they just won that one game, what would change? Wichita State is a team that's probably going to make the tournament. They're going to be like an 8 or 9 seed. Nothing too much. They're currently 24-8. They're 16-2 in the Missouri Valley Conference. They did lose their championship game to Iona, wasn't Iona. There's another team, but
Northern Iowa.
Northern Iowa. I had the I and the O right in the end. But their RPI is 47. Way earlier in the year, they lost their second best scorer for a couple games. They were in a tournament down in Orlando, and they ended up losing to Southern Cal by 3 points. Southern Cal's a good team. And then because they lost that, they also played Alabama. They lost that. This guy has come up with, if they would have beat Southern Cal, their RPI would go from 47 to 34.
Oh, wow.
So RPI is kind of weird. Even if they would have then gone on to beat Bama, it'd be 27.
Interesting.
So RPI is really kind of a weird thing. I don't like the stat too much, but that's what people go for. So let's get on to the teams.
Yes.
The conferences that have locks are basically the Big 12. They're going to get all 7 teams in. Texas Tech had a big win the last game of the regular season that pretty much locked them, even though they had an early exit of their conference tournament. And then you also got the Big East. Those are by far probably the best 2 conferences in the nation. With Big East, getting Villanova, Xavier, Seton Hall, Providence. I think they might even get 2 1 seeds, and I'll talk about 1 seeds in just a little bit. but we'll see how that goes. Let's see. The Atlantic 10, St. Bonaventure's is a school that right now is probably, right on the bubble. RPI is 25. They're 14-4. They do have a couple good wins, but I think they're going to have to win at least 1 or 2 games in their conference tournament. If they do end up making it, maybe a Sweet 16.
Ooh.
They shoot the ball pretty well. A great game today. I don't know if y'all saw it. Did y'all see the Cincinnati and Connecticut game?
I did not see it, but I did see it.
That was an amazing game.
I saw a little bit. Wow.
Yeah. So
Wow.
so both of these teams are on the bubble. They're both 20. Cincinnati was 22-9. Connecticut's 21-10. Both right on the bubble. It goes to 4 overtimes.
Oh, it's crazy.
And Connecticut ended up winning the game. They scored more points in overtime in the 20 minutes of overtime than they did in either one of the first or the second
That's
half.
insane.
Really kind of crazy. You feel bad for Cincinnati, but sometimes it just comes down to it. At the end of the third overtime, there was actually a Cincinnati hit a 3 to go ahead with like 0.8 seconds left, and then Connecticut went and hit like a 75-footer to tie it back up, and then they go to the fourth overtime where Connecticut was able to win. Charlotte's not here. Maryland in the Big Ten is looking pretty good. I think Michigan actually got their seat today. They were playing Indiana,
and they upset Indiana.
And they upset Indiana on a last-second 3. So I think Michigan makes the tournament.
Go Blue.
Let's see. The Pac-12, you got Oregon, Utah, Cal, Arizona, Colorado, and USC. I don't think Oregon State makes it. And actually, they've already lost. So, it's pretty much going to be an act of God. If they make it, the SEC sucks in basketball. You got Kentucky and A&M. Those are kind of your 2 locks in that conference. Mm-hmm. Maybe Florida makes it. I think Vanderbilt right now is on the first 4 in. And then you've got the team that I like that I really want to see make the tournament is Monmouth, just because I love watching the bench.
The bench is amazing.
That's really, really good. I mentioned the 1 seed. So right now you've really got 6 teams that could be a 1 seed. Okay. You've got Kansas, Virginia, North Carolina, Villanova, OU, Michigan State. Some people even throw Xavier in there to be a 7th team. I personally think OU is going to beat Kansas, which they're saying Kansas is probably the best team in the nation, and also going to be the number 1 overall seed. But it's so hard to beat a team 3 times 1 year.
Yeah.
I really think OU can beat them in the championship game of the Big 12, which I don't know if that knocks Kansas out of a 1 seed. I don't think it will, but it may. I think Virginia beats Carolina. I think that makes Carolina fall to a 2 seed. And then I actually think that Xavier is going to beat Villanova and be able to get a 1 seed as well.
Wow.
I think if Michigan State wins the Big 12 or the Big 10 tournament, they'll be the 4th 1 seed. But you know what? Things have happened in the last 24 hours that I didn't expect. So
no kidding. Now, they had the score up. I think Oklahoma was losing to West Virginia right now.
Oh, well, they didn't hear me then.
Yeah, so
fair enough. Now they're going to start winning.
Sounds like an A&M thing.
Okay, so they're down.
Sounds like an A&M.
They're down by 4 points right now, and there's 4:20 left in the second half.
Blazing.
Huh. If there's, I saw a couple of stats because a lot of people are like, well, if you get this many wins, you're automatically in. Or, if you have this many losses, there's no way you're going to go. No team with 15 losses have ever made the tournament. So that's kind of the magic number on the loss side. 5 teams have made it with 14 losses. However, all of those had 19 or 20 wins. And there's been usually 3 or 4 a year with 13 losses or 12 losses. On the win side, 2 26-win teams, so actually 26 wins, didn't make the tournament last year.
Oh, wow.
I don't remember who they were. Also 2 24-win teams and 23-win team. So there is no magic win this month, this number, and you're in. I think a lot of that has to do with tournament winners. You always get those surprise tournament winners. that screw up the bubble for those teams. If I have one piece of advice, and I'm looking at the tournament challenge, the bracket opens in 1 day and 18 hours and 27 minutes. My bracket advice to you, especially once it gets into like the Sweet 16 games, is look for teams that would have a home court advantage. The tournament supposedly doesn't do this. They try to put teams all over the country and everything. Right. But every year there's always that one, 4 or 5 seed that's facing a 1 seed that has, it's only playing 50 miles from their school.
Right.
So look for those teams. That home field advantage or home court advantage is such a big thing in college. I think it's bigger than anything.
Yeah.
But that's all I got.
Awesome. Okay, so just to confirm, the brackets are going to open up on the 13th, 5 o'clock.
5 o'clock on Sunday.
5 o'clock on Sunday. And then the tournament will actually start on the 17th. So at that time, the brackets lock on our tournament, right, Jack?
The brackets lock on Thursday, I think at 11:59. Basically at the start of the first game on Thursday. There are the 4 play-in games on Tuesday and Wednesday. The tournament went from 64 to 60-18 a couple years ago. Those games are not part of this, and I want to say when you pick, if you pick before those games, you pick just either the one team or you pick either or of the other team. Okay. If it matters that much, you can go in afterward and you can edit your bracket up until Thursday at noon.
Awesome. All right, that's NCAA basketball. We'll be back in a bit.
Welcome to the Go Spurs Go Memes Trivia Challenge with, guess what? Star Wars questions. Today we are playing Stump the Nerd with our guest. Our first guest today is going to be Paul Garcia. Paul, are you ready to take on this great challenge of ours?
I'm very, very excited to take this challenge.
I don't think you're very excited at all, actually, but it's okay. So the way this is going to work is, let me just explain how this is going to work, okay? The way this is going to work is we're going to give you questions, 14 questions, right? You've got 3 minutes to answer each question, and we're going to bring Ray and we're going to bring Tom in to answer this. Whoever answers the most correct wins the game. What do you win? I have absolutely no idea, but that's okay. Respect. I'm all about respect. We're going to start the timer at 3 minutes, and I've got some questions. The questions will deal primarily with The Force Awakens, the new movie. So it's going to be a little bit easier for you guys to be able to answer most of these questions. So I got some appropriate music for you as well. So, okay, Frank, you ready with the timer here, sir?
Yes, sir.
All right. Go ahead and start the timer.
Timer's on.
Paul, question number 1. What character speaks the first line in The Force Awakens? Is it A, Poe Dameron, B, Lor San Tekka, or C, Finn?
B, Lor San Tekka.
Very good. Number 2. On the planet Jakku, where does Rey live? A, in the remains of an AT-AT, B, in a TIE fighter, or C, in a tent?
A, remains of an AT-AT.
Very good. Number 2 for 2.
Nice.
Number 3. Which character's name is a hybrid of director J.J. Abrams' daughter's toy polar bear and his assistant? Is it A, Kylo Ren, B, Captain Phasma, or C, Poe Dameron?
Say C, Poe Dameron.
C, Poe Dameron. That is correct. Good job.
Nice.
That was actually a guess.
Yeah, that was
Better than Chance.
I didn't even know the answer to that one, too. So, believe it or not,
2 minutes,
this is the first time
2
I've
minutes,
seen
2 minutes.
Oh, sorry. Number 4. Finn's real name is FN2187, but what does the same number have in common with the 1977 Star Wars? A, the number of stormtroopers who hit his head on the door. B, the number of detention cell that Leia was kept in. Or C, the number of the docking bay where the Millennium Falcon was parked.
Let's say C.
That is incorrect, sir. It is the number of the detention cell that she was kept in. So, number 5. Who says, quote, "That's not how the Force works"? A, Han Solo.
Han Solo.
Very good. That was easy, actually. Number 6. What was Kylo Ren's original name before he changed it? Is it A, Bill, B, Ben, or
Ben.
C, Luke? B, Ben. Very good. Number 7. Which character is not mentioned in the opening crawl text? A, Luke, B, Poe, or C, Leia?
B, Poe.
That's very good. That's a good.
Nice.
Very good.
Moving.
We're doing pretty good.
Very.
He's halfway through. What was the name of the system destroyed in the First Order's Starkiller base? Was it A, the Hosnian, B, the Takodana, or C, the Illinium?
A.
A, the Hosnian. Very good. No, that's that next one done. Number 9. According to Han Solo, who stole the Millennium Falcon from him first? Is it A, Unka Plut, B, Duquesne, or C, the Irvine boys?
C.
C, the Irvine boys, and you are incorrect. That is going to be Duquesne. That's going to be B. Number 10. What TV show links these Force Awakens actors? Gwendolyn Christie Phasma, Mark Van Sydow, Lor Santeca, and the wee boy from Love Actually, Thomas Brody Sanger, who's the First Order officer. Is it A, Doctor Who, B, Game of Thrones, or C, Humans?
B, Game of Thrones.
Man, no, that was easy. That was very easy. Number 11. In which department of the Starkiller base did Finn once work? A, sanitation, B, accounts, or C, weapons?
A, sanitation.
Very good. Number 12. 12 Years a Slave actor, Oscar-winning actress Lupita Nyong'o provides her voice to which role? A, Snoke, B, Maz Kanata, or B, C, BB-8?
B.
B, Maz Kanata. Very good.
And we're done.
That's it.
Time up.
All right. Well, he got, let's see, he only missed 1 out of the 14. So we're gonna give him. He got. He missed 2. I'm sorry. He missed 2 out of the 14.
2, thank you.
So we have. Okay. So you got 10. 10 right. So that's what we got, Jed. Okay.
10 out of 12.
10 out of 12. Not bad. Now we got Tom here. So Tom, I'm gonna repeat the questions here. We're gonna play Stump the Nerd. You're gonna get 3 minutes to answer 14 questions about the new movies, The Force Awakens. So. I'm gonna start you up here in just a second, and basically you're just gonna answer each one, and we'll tell you if you're right or wrong. I'm gonna give you a choice of 3 actual answers as well. Okay?
Okay.
Ready to go? All right, here we go.
Let's go.
Ready to start timer now.
Timer's going.
Question number 1: what character speaks the first line in The Force Awakens? A, Poe Dameron, B, Lor Santeca, or C, Finn?
B.
B, Lor San, and you are correct. Number 2: on the planet Jakku, where does Rey live? A, in the remains of an AT-AT, B, in a TIE fighter, or C, in a tent?
C.
You are incorrect, sir. It's in the remains of a AT-AT. Number 3: which character's name is a hybrid of J.J. Abrams' daughter's toy bowler bear and his assistant? Is it A, Kylo Ren, B, Captain Phasma, or C, Poe Dameron?
A.
And that is incorrect, sir. It is Poe Dameron. Number 4: Finn's real name is FN2187, but what does the same number have in common with 1977's Star Wars? Is it A, the number of the stormtrooper who hit his head on a door, B, the number of the detention center that Leia was kept in, or C, the number of the docking bay where the Millennium Falcon was parked?
I'll say B.
You are correct, sir. Very good. Number 5. Who says, quote, "That's not how the Force works"? A, Han Solo, B, General Leia, or C, Maz Kanata?
Can you repeat those answers again?
So it's going to be A, Han Solo, B, General Leia, or C, Maz Kanata.
Gonna go A.
And you are correct. Number 6. What was Kylo Ren's original name before he changed it? Was it A, Bill, B, Ben, or C, Luke?
B.
B, Ben. Very good. Number 7. Which character is not mentioned in the opening crawl text? Is it A, Luke, B, Poe, or C, Leia?
B.
B, Poe is correct. Number 8. What was the name of the system destroyed by the First Order's Starkiller base? Was it A, the Hosnian, B, the Takodana, or C, the Illinium?
C.
C, and that is incorrect, is the Hosnian. Number 9. According to Han Solo, who stole the Millennium Falcon from him first? Was it A, Unkar Plutt, B, Duquesne, or C, the Irvine boys?
B.
And Duquesne is correct. Very good. Number 10. What TV show links these Force Awakens actors? Gwendolyn Christie Phasma, Max von Sydow's Lor Santeca, and the wee boy from Love Actually, Thomas Brody Sanger, the First Order officer. Is it A, Doctor Who, B, Game of Thrones, or C, Humans?
B.
B, Game of Thrones is correct. There's a big giveaway on that one. 11. In which department on the Starkiller base did Finn once work? A, sanitation, B, accounts, or C, weapons?
A.
A, sanitation. Very good. Number 12. 12 Years a Slave Oscar-winning actress Lupita Nyong'o provided her voice to which role? A, Snoke, B, Maz Kanata, or C, BB-8?
C.
No, that's incorrect. It's Maz Kanata. Number 13, and the last question. What side does Kylo Ren repeatedly hit during his fight with Rey and Finn? A, left, B, right, or C, back?
C.
And you're incorrect. It's the left side. So time is up, and we have
8.
So we got 8
8
out of
correct
13.
ones.
8 out of 13. So good job to you, sir. We will be back, and we're going to bring Ray in to see how he does. All right, and we're back, and now we have the main man, Ray.
Okay.
So let me explain the game. You already know it's called Stump the Nerd.
Yes,
the way
sir.
it works is we're going to ask you a series of 14 questions here. You've got 3 minutes to answer each one of them, okay?
Okay.
So we're going to start this off here. We're going to give you a question, and then we're going to give you three choices to choose from, okay? So you get to pick from one of them, okay? So here we go. Frank, you ready?
I'm ready.
Start the clock.
All right, starting. 3 minutes.
Number one? What character speaks the first line in the first Force Awakens? Is it A, Poe Dameron, C, Lor Santeca, or C, Finn?
Poe Dameron.
That is incorrect, sir. It is Lor Santeca. Number two, you're starting off bad.
All right.
On the planet Jakku, where does Rey live? A, in the remains of an AT-AT, B, in a TIE fighter, or C, in a tent?
Remains of an AT-AT.
Very good. Number three, what character's name is a hybrid of director J.J. Abrams' daughter's toy bowler bear and his assistant? Is it A, Kylo Ren, B, Captain Phasma, or C, Poe Dameron?
Captain Phasma.
Incorrect. It is Poe Dameron.
Damn.
Number four, Finn's real name is FN2187, but what does the same number have in common with 1977 Star Wars? Is it A, the number of the stormtrooper who hit his head on a door, B, the number of the detention cell that Leia was kept in, or C, the number of the docking bay where the Millennium Falcon was parked?
Ooh, that's Stormtrooper head.
2 minutes.
Stormtrooper head is incorrect. It is the number of the detention center. Man, you suck. Number five, who says, quote, "That's not how the Force works"? Is it A, Han Solo?
Han
B-
Solo.
Very good. And you got that one. Number six, what was Kylo Ren's original name before he changed it? It was A, Ben, C, Bill.
Ben.
Very good. I just totally messed that up. Number seven, what character is not mentioned in the opening crawl text? Is it A, Luke, B, Poe, or C, Leia?
Poe.
Very good. It's Poe. Number eight, what was the name of the system destroyed by the First Order Star Killer base? Is it A, Hosnian, B, Takodana, or C, Elenium?
Ooh. What's the last one?
Elenium.
I'm going to go with that one.
And it's incorrect. It is the Hosnian.
Should have went with the other one.
Yeah, well, me too. Number nine, according to Han Solo, who stole the Millennium Falcon from him first? Is it A, Unkar Plutt, B, Duquesne, or C, the Irvine Boy?
Duquesne.
It was Duquesne. Good job. Number 10. What TV shows links these Force Awakens actors? Gwendolyn Christie Phasma, Max Van Sydow, Lor Santeca, and the wee boy from Love Actually, Thomas Brody Sandister, the First Order officer. Is it A, Doctor Who, B, Game of Thrones, or C, Humans?
Humans.
Incorrect. That is Game of Thrones. Gwendolyn Christie is
Wait. Max Van Sydow's in Game of Thrones?
Yes, he has a real small role in it.
Ah,
He's going to be in...
that's what threw me off.
20 seconds.
Okay, 11. In which department... He's going to lose anyways. In which department of the Star... which department of the Star Killer base did Finn once work? A, sanitation. B, weapons. Sanitation.
Keep going. Let's go.
Good.
Catch
10
up.
seconds.
Number 12. 12 Years a Slave, Oscar-winning actress Lupita Nyong'o provides her voice to which role? A, Snoke, B, Maz Kanata, or C, BB-8?
Maz Kanata.
Very good. Maz Kanata. Is that it?
And we're done.
And that's the day.
Yeah.
All right. What's the final score for Ray?
The
Okay.
final score is Ray got 7 here.
All right. So the final score... Jeez, he don't even
Here.
say it. All right, guys. So the final... It's not going to count. The final score is Ray has 7, Tom has 8, and our winner, Paul, has 10.
Whoa.
Man, he had like all of them practically. I think he just got tripped up on a couple of them.
Damn, Paul. And you just saw it too, right, Paul? Paul just barely saw it.
And
so
Ray knows the whole damn script, and yet he can't answer the
I can't.
questions.
Yeah, this is too specific for me. I don't know. Anyways, that was fun.
That was fun. I thought that was
That was
great.
awesome.
That was
That's
a great.
great.
All right, cool. So that's Stump the Nerd. We'll be back in a bit with Crazy Story. Yep. All right, we'll be back, guys. And we're back, and it's time for our final segment, which is Crazy Story of the Week.
I let the circus clowns in early.
All right. Okay, so our Crazy Story of the Week has to do with milk. Start off that way. Okay, buddy. What's the crazy story of the week?
All right. Well, so the story is that lawmakers in West Virginia decided that it was a great idea that they were going to pass a bill allowing West Virginians to drink raw milk, right? So as a way to basically like celebrate, they all drank raw milk during the presser of this, right? Well, in the weeks after that, they all start getting sick. So apparently, like several lawmakers have gotten sick. They thought it was just a coincidence and a stomach bug going on, but they come to find out that yes, exactly, it is the raw milk. And they did get it legally, however, but they still got sick from it. So this just shows that it's just not such a great idea to drink raw milk.
There's a reason why pasteurization was invented. You know what I mean? Like, it's a very thorough process to make sure that we don't get sick from it. And as it is, most adults are lactose intolerant anyways. And so now you just put it like in the purest form, which is just I can't even imagine.
Do you guys want to hear some? You want to hear some hilarious quotes from this?
Sure.
Oh my God, I love quotes. This is the best part. Several lawmakers say a delegate who sponsored the bill, Scott Cato, I got to say his name, a Republican, bought in the drinks. Quote: Cato caught me in the hallway, offered a cup to me, and you want to try to be a gentleman, McGeehan said. I had a small sip and walked away and tossed the rest of it. Quote: I highly doubt raw milk had anything to do with it in my case. According to the Kanawha Charleston Health Department, raw milk can contain dangerous bacteria and parasites, but supporters say raw milk has a higher nutritional content and is more ethical. I don't think it's any riskier than eating raw oysters or anything like that, McGeehan said.
Oh, it's just nasty.
Obviously, he's pooping out his whole brains right now, so I don't think he's very right at this.
Okay, here's a surprise for Paul and Tom. We actually do have raw milk here, fresh from a cow.
Oh,
just kidding.
excellent.
Welcome to Texas, Tom.
I just think it's very funny that, you know, it might just be a West Virginia thing, but, you know, they were like, you know what? We can forget about all of these other issues. We need to figure out how we can legalize raw milk.
I know.
That's what I'm talking about. Like,
We're going to tax raw milk. That's how we're going to get all the money.
your tax dollars at work. And it's just a perfect, I think it's a perfect West Virginia story.
It really
is.
It goes. That's exactly the point in all of this, right? Is that how many other things can we worry about, like that are really, really important? Like that's right up there with.
So whose idea was it? The Hatfields or the McCoys? That's what I want.
Probably the McCoys in this one, right? I just don't understand why you think of all things raw milk. Can anyone else think about why it would have been that of all things?
I just can't imagine anybody getting to a point in their life where they're like, you know, standing in a state senate like, we need to legalize raw milk.
I mean, in 2016, how many people have a damn cow to...
Well, yeah, that's the other thing, too, is like...
oh, wait, I got to go get the cow, too.
Yeah. So
that's just...
Legalize it.
It's to promote small business, sir. Smart farming. Going back to our roots.
Smart farm. It's all about being green now in West Virginia. That's what it is. Anyways, that's our crazy story for the week. This brings us to the end of the Go Spurs Go Memes podcast. Again, I'd like to thank our two guests in studios, Tom Petrini, Paul Garcia. Thank you, gentlemen, so much for spending the evening with us. I think we had a lot of fun today. I haven't laughed this hard in a very, very long time, so thank you guys so much for spending time with us. As always, like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram and Twitter. This podcast can be heard on SoundCloud, iTunes, and on YouTube. We will see you guys next week. Thanks so much. And as always, go Spurs, go.
Oh, shit. Yeah, but he gave him 11 seconds. What the fuck? And they got to